at the beginning, the main reason I came to you was to lose weight, stop overeating and lose weight. But as we got farther and farther into working together, I was still weighing myself because we do want to see the number. And I was happy that I was losing, but it wasn't as important as I thought, because at the beginning I was just like, if I can lose weight, my life will be great. Everything will be perfect. I'll ride off into the sunset. And as we started working together, it really wasn't about the number on the scale. It really wasn't about my weight. It was more on how I felt about myself and how I treated myself and how I wasn't respecting myself or my body. And as you were teaching me, I started really liking myself. I started really liking how I was showing up for myself. I was liking how I was taking care of myself, that I was thinking about, am I going to do this? Is this a good thing to do for my body? Is this not a good thing to do for my body? And I just kept showing up for myself, and I was really liking it. I was liking how I felt. And it was something I never felt before. I don't know if I've ever really liked myself before. I mean, I hate to say that, but it was true. And I really started liking myself and liking what I was doing and liking how I was treating myself, which was most important. I was starting to have respect for myself. And so the numbers started not like, I didn't care about the number anymore. I cared about how I felt. That was what was the most important to me, is how I felt and how I felt about myself, and that I was actually doing something for myself that I never thought I could do. And that meant everything.
Welcome to the Done with Dieting Total Health for Women Over 40 podcast, the podcast for women who are done with the start over cycle and ready for a way of taking care of themselves that actually works. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Elizabeth Sherman, and I am really glad that you are here with me today. So I want to ask you something. Have you ever been just so done with yourself, just so over what it is that you're doing, that you signed up for something in the middle of the night? You didn't plan it, didn't think about it for weeks, just done because you hit a wall and you couldn't unsee it. That's where today's guest started. Her name is Chris, and she has been a client of mine for about a year and a half. She's a nurse, and she's been on a diet ever since she was 11 years old. And one night, after eating herself sick, she got on my website and signed up for one of my programs. That was the beginning. Since then, she has lost over 100 pounds. She threw away her scale. She bought not only a bathing suit, but also a pair of shorts, and she wore them in public. But here's what I want you to pay attention to as you listen to today's episode. Sure, the weight loss is real, but that's not the actual story. The story is what happened in between. What she learned about why she was eating the way she was eating, what changed when she stopped trying to fix her food and started paying attention to everything else, how she went from a woman who avoided people because she didn't want to be seen to someone who shows up for herself every single day without making it a big deal. Now, she came to me to lose weight. She stayed because she started liking herself. I think you're going to hear yourself in her. And I think that's exactly the point. So let's get started. Here's Chris. All right, let's welcome Chris to the show. Chris, I am so excited that you're here. I'm excited about what we're going to be talking about today. So before we get into the questions, I'd like you to introduce yourself to everyone who's here. Tell us your name and anything you want to share with the listeners about work together and how you found me and all of that great stuff.
Okay. My name's Chris, and I've been working with Elizabeth for like a little over a year and a half now, I think.
Mhm.
And I actually found her through the podcast. I had been commuting a lot, and I was getting tired of just listening to the radio and listening to music. So I actually started listening to some podcasts and I was just kind of looking through it. And the title of hers is what actually drew me since I was a woman in my mid years. So I started listening and everything she was saying made so much sense that I just continued to listen to her and kind of just went from there. Yeah.
Awesome. I love hearing those stories. So, before you found the podcast, how would you have described your relationship with your health?
It was awful. My relationship with my health was really bad. I was not taking care of myself at all. I was overeating a lot, kind of numbing myself with food. I didn't exercise. I didn't sleep well, not taking care of myself. I was under a lot of stress. And the last thing I even thought about was taking care of myself. So I was not healthy at all. So yeah.
And what were you telling yourself about that? Like why you weren't taking care of yourself or why you hadn't prioritized your health or the results that you were getting? Like, what were you telling yourself was the reason behind that?
A lot of it was time. I don't have time to do this right now. Later, I'll do this later. Right now, I need to take care of other people. Need to put my husband first, my kids first, my dog first, everything. All my responsibilities came first. I was last on the totem pole. By the time night came around, evening came around, time where I might have some time for me, I was exhausted. So the last thing I was thinking about was, okay, how can I take care of myself now? Instead, it was just easier to numb myself, just numb out and just overeat, and the cycle would restart in the morning. So I just I always kept thinking later, later when I get time, when I get time, and when the kids are grown, and when things settle down, when life stops being so crazy, then I'll focus on myself. But in the meantime, I was hurting my health worse and worse by not doing anything, and nothing changed. The timing never changed. There was always something. There's always something else that I needed to do besides myself. There's never, even when the kids finally did get out of the house, grow up and go out of the house, still didn't have the time. I still didn't put myself first. I still was always last. And never got to that point because I was always too exhausted by the time I got to that point. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that what you just said is going to resonate with a lot of people because there are so many people, being a nurse as you are, and also being in that sandwich generation where you were taking care of your aging parents, bringing them to doctor's offices and visits and things like that. And at the same time, taking care of your adult children. Like it feels very real that I don't have time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, your capacity to be able to eat well or exercise or go to sleep on time and then, you know, like all of the things that are going on in your head when you fall asleep
Exactly. Yeah.
are there at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. 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 My sleep definitely was not good at all. Yeah. Because I was always thinking, what do I got to do the next day? That's part of my to do list at 3 a.m., you know? So, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. So you came to me originally because you wanted to lose weight. What was going on in your life at that point that made you decide, you know what, maybe I want to do something about this?
Well, I kind of got myself into really bad eating. Overate a lot. And it was where I was hiding my food and eating. So during the day, I was pretty good. Morning, I would start out good. Lunch, I would start out pretty decent. And then on the way home from work is when I would always stop at the store and I would buy stuff, buy sweets, cakes and donuts and cookies, whatever. And after dinner, I would either go in my office or go in my bedroom and I would overeat, like massive overeat. just to numb myself because I think I was under so much stress and so much stuff was going on. I just didn't want to feel my feelings. So it was easier to numb myself. And food was my comfort. And that's what I used. I didn't do that every night, but it got to the point where I was starting to do it more and more to where it was becoming almost every night. And then I would go to bed either because I ran out of food or I was sick to my stomach. And then I would sleep for a little bit and then I'd wake up and then the self-hate talk would come in and it would keep me up all night because I was I'd be so mad at myself for doing it again. And then I would promise myself the next morning, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be good. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm not going to stop at the store and buy that stuff. And the next day would start and it would just be a vicious cycle. It was just over and over and over again. And got to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore. I just finally had a really bad day, like a really bad day. And that night I ate so much food that I was thrown up. I ate myself till I was literally thrown up. And I was just like up all night because I was sick and because how much I hated what I was doing. I hated myself for what I was doing and I hated what I was doing. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, I kind of was like at the lowest point and I didn't know what else to do. And I have been hearing you talk on your podcast that you were starting a program called Beyond Overeating. And I have been thinking about it for several weeks because I kept hearing you talk about it. And I was like, that sounds really like something that would be good for me to do. But then I kept saying, no, you can do this yourself. You can do this. You know what to do. You know. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I kept every morning trying and I could not do it. I don't know why, but I could, even though I knew what to do. And
Just
after
curious, what did you think that you needed to do?
I needed to stop eating. I needed to stop overeating. I needed, I,
Like,
you
it's
know,
easy, right? Just stop eating.
right, just stop. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't stop eating. I know, right? Sounds so easy. So yeah, after that night, that morning, I woke up. I don't even know if I slept because it was such a bad night. And I was like, that's it. I'm done. I cannot do this anymore. I just cannot. I cannot live like this anymore. And I actually went on your website and I signed up for Beyond Overeating. And that's how it started. Yeah. Started.
It's all been downhill since. No, okay, so we're gonna get to that, but
Okay. I felt
what were some of the other things that you tried? Because this was not the first time that you had tried to lose weight or, like, control your eating, right?
I have been on a diet since I was 11 years old. Started on a diet when I was 11 years old. So I've been on so many diets, so many, and I've lost weight. I have lost weight on the diets, but then as soon as life hit or stress hit or they're unsustainable, I mean, some of these diets you can't stay on forever because they're just too restrictive. I went on a 5 bite diet. How long is that going to last, right? I did the grapefruit diet. I did Weight Watchers. I've done keto. I've done Atkins. You name it, I've done them. I've lost weight, but I always gained it back or more so because none of them were sustainable and none of them taught me anything except for being restrictive, right? Just don't eat this, eat that, or only eat this many calories a day, or you have to track everything and don't go over this amount, or don't eat any carbs and all that stuff. You could do it for a little while. I could do it for a few months. The 5 bite diet I couldn't do for a few months. That was too hard. But I think it only lasted a couple weeks. But then when your real life happens and you're invited to parties and dinners and all this other stuff, all that stuff goes out the window because it just wasn't sustainable. So, but yeah, I've been on so many diets. It's probably write a book on it. Been on so many. Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, what was interesting about Beyond Overeating that you wanted to try that?
Well, to your podcast for a few months before. I actually signed up for that. And you never talked about you can only eat this, or I'm going to give you a meal plan and you can only have this many calories. You never said, okay, you have to track your macros. You have to write everything down. All your stuff that you talked about in your podcast was like small changes. Pick one change for the week to do, one little thing to do that you can be successful at. One of your podcasts was like about B minus work. You don't have to be perfect. You can make small changes and they add up and it makes a difference. And so you weren't coming at us or the listening audience, you weren't coming at us with like, do my meal plan and you'll be great. You'll be perfect. You weren't coming at us like that. You were talking about real life, like one thing to change, not change your whole life, change one thing. And it just was like, this makes so much sense. I mean, I can do one thing, right? I can change one thing. I can't change my whole life because there's just too much going on, but I can change one thing or I can add one thing. And so it made me think that maybe this would be something I can do. It was something different. It was different than what I had been sold so many times before, different than what you keep seeing on social media. And I was like, all that stuff I've done before and none of it worked. So why would I go back to that? You were talking about something different, something I never heard of before. And I was like, I need to give it a chance. And I did. And thank goodness I did.
Well, and you've had a lot of success in the Beyond Overeating program.
Yes. Yes, I did. I did.
I can't remember, was it 18 pounds or 30 pounds?
20 pounds in 9 weeks. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, and your partner had a lot of success even though he wasn't in the program at all, right?
Right. Because he cooks, he does all the cooking for me. Thank goodness. I'm lucky that way. And so he was very supportive and totally on board, and so he started changing how he cooks because it's just me and him that he cooks for, and so because he changed the cooking for both of us, he started eating it also, and he lost some weight too. He had to go buy new clothes and some new belts and and everything because he had lost weight also. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Awesome.
yeah, it was a good thing all around.
And so because you got such great results through the 9-week program, you decided that you wanted to continue working on a one-on-one basis, right?
Right.
So
I was very successful, and I feel like I was very successful, and what you were teaching me was great. It was really making a difference in my life, and you were giving me hope in myself that I could do this and that I could change, and you were giving me hope for my future, which meant everything. So I wanted more. I just I didn't even hesitate. I didn't even have to think about it. I was like, no, I have to keep going because what you were teaching me was something I never learned before. And it was so valuable. It was, it was changing my life little by little. So it was, I mean, I hadn't had hope in a long time. So the fact that I was starting to actually have hope and actually stop a lot of the negative talking and started like actually liking what I was becoming, who I was becoming, I was like, "Yeah, I have to keep going." Most definitely, yes.
can you give some concrete examples of the things that you were learning were that made that change? D Just to give the listeners an idea of, like, what that would look like for them or what the concepts were that you learned and how you applied them.
Okay. Well, I learned a lot that it wasn't about the food. Not it was. It was not about the food. I just thought that I just love food and I just couldn't stop eating it and that I just needed high volumes of food to satisfy myself. And a lot of the stuff that you were teaching me was that it's really not about the food, that I kind of needed to learn to not numb out, that you have to start feeling your feelings. And that's a good thing and a bad thing because you have good feelings and you have bad feelings. And when you're numbing out, I was numbing out the good stuff too. And I didn't realize that at the time. But then once I was like, okay, some of the exercises and things that you had me working on, I had to feel my feelings, good and bad. And so it was good to feel the good feelings, not so much the bad feelings, but it all goes hand in hand. And so I think that was a huge thing for me was to start to feel my feelings. I started doing a lot of journaling, started doing a lot of thought downloads instead of eating my feelings and numbing, I would put them down on paper. And that helped a lot to work out things. It's really not about the food. It really wasn't. The food was just kind of there, but yeah, I don't know if I'm explaining that well enough, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I didn't know how to do that at the time. And a lot of the tools you gave me taught me, instead of going to food, it taught me to sit with and do other things to cope with that. Yes.
Yeah. And so I remember that as we were working because I never asked you your weight in all of our time together. I think that's true, right?
That is true. You never did. No, you never did. At the beginning, the main reason I came to you was to lose weight. Stop overeating and lose weight. But as we got farther and farther into working together, I was still weighing myself because we do want to see the number. And I was happy that I was losing, but it wasn't as important as I thought because at the beginning I was just like, if I can lose weight, my life will be great. Everything will be perfect. I'll ride off into the sunset. And as we started working together, it really wasn't about the number on the scale. It really wasn't about my weight. It was more on how I felt about myself and how I treated myself and how I wasn't respecting myself or my body. And as you were teaching me, I started really liking myself. I started really liking how I was showing up for myself. I was liking how I was taking care of myself, that I was thinking about, am I going to do this? Is this a good thing to do for my body? Is this not a good thing to do for my body? And I just kept showing up for myself and I was really liking it. I was liking how I felt. And it was something I never felt before. I don't know if I've ever really liked myself before. I mean, I hate to say that, but it was true. And I really started liking myself and liking what I was doing and liking how I was treating myself, which was most important. I was starting to have respect for myself. And so the numbers started not like I didn't care about the number anymore. I cared about how I felt. That was what was the most important to me is how I felt and how I felt about myself and that I was actually doing something for myself that I never thought I could do. And that meant everything. So yeah, yeah.
Oh. Okay, so what is something that you know about yourself now that you didn't know about 2 years ago?
That I could actually do something, that I could actually do whatever I want to do. Like now, I feel like if it's something I want to do, I can do it. I can achieve it no matter what it is. I don't feel like I can't do it. And back then, I had so much doubt about everything, if I could do anything. Even when I started working with you at the beginning, I still had doubts, even though I really wanted to do it, but I was still had the doubts like, can I actually do this? Now I know I can do whatever I want to do. I can achieve whatever I want to achieve in anything, whether it comes to my health, my personal life, my professional life, anything I want to do, I can do it. I still might be a little bit afraid at times, but I can do it even being afraid. So yeah, yeah.
Amazing. I love that. Okay, so in the midst of everything that we did, You actually hit the 100 pounds down mark,
Yes.
and then you threw away your scale.
Yes. Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Well, I had been thinking about it for a while. You know that. We had talked about it. That was one of my goals, was to get to a point where I wasn't always weighing myself, where I wasn't always living by that number. And as we were working together more and more, the number really wasn't mattering. But at the same time, I did want to hit that 100 mark, right? Because I mean, that's a huge mark. So, so I
Like
mean,
98 feels so unsatisfying.
it was, yes, yes. So I made a pact with myself that when I hit the 100 mark, that was it. I was going to throw away my scale and not live by that number. And I actually that morning got on the scale and I was 100 pounds exactly. And I took a picture of it and I texted it to you to show you. And then I got dressed and I took that scale and put it in the trash right then and there. I didn't even think, didn't even second think it. I was like, I'm not going to live by the number on that scale anymore. I'm not going to let it dictate to me if I'm going to have a good day or a bad day. In January, I threw it away. So I have not weighed myself in, what are we going on, 5, 6 months now.
Yeah, how's that going?
Yeah. And I feel great. I love not having to get up and think about weighing myself and wondering where I'm at. Because you know what? I wear the clothes I wear, I could tell. I could tell how they fit. I have really gotten really in tune with my body through this process with you because you also taught me to listen to your body, what your body needs. And so I can tell if I've gained weight or if I have not gained weight. I really can. I really am so much more in tune with my body and how it feels and how my clothes feel that
Well, and
I
let's talk about that for just a second, because I think that there might be a listener right now, there might be a lot of listeners who think to themselves, "Oh, I could never throw my scale away. I need my scale to keep me in line, to keep me accountable." What would you
right.
say to that?
I would say that no, you don't. Because that number in the big scheme of things, that number doesn't mean anything. It's how you feel. It's how your body feels. And everybody's body at a different point. Because I never, and I know I told you this before, I got to the point where I didn't have a number that was my goal. I was telling you, I'm just going to eat the way I eat and whatever my body goes to, wherever my body feels satisfied. So if my body felt satisfied with still having a little bit of extra weight on it, or if my body felt satisfied with having a little under, it wouldn't matter what the number was. It's what my body feels good at. So I think the number just I think the number doesn't make you stay more accountable. I think the number actually is a hindrance to you and it actually cripples you because you can have a day that is going to be a great day, but you get on that scale and that number's up by 1 pound. And it could be because of hormones or because you didn't sleep good that night before. It could be, it doesn't mean that you ate too much or that you gained fat. It could be so many other reasons. And then that just throws you into a crap day. And maybe you'll overeat that day because of it. Oh, well, I don't care. I gained weight. I was perfect. I gained weight. I might as well eat. And then you eat. Where if you never saw that number, you never got on the scale and you just went by how you felt and that, hey, I've had a really good week. I feel really good. I've been eating good. Let's keep going. For me, that's more motivational than me getting on that scale because every time, no matter what, even through this whole process, because I didn't go down every week. There's no way, right? That's not feasible. There were moments when I went up and down, up and down. That's just life. And every time I went up, no matter how good I was that week or no matter how great I thought I ate, it it still was a negative effect every time I got on that scale and the number, even if it was only half a pound, it was a negative impact on me, and it would ruin my day, and I just got tired of living by that number. I This last 5, 6 months, I have not missed the scale whatsoever. I have not worried like, "Well, I need to weigh myself because maybe I messed up, maybe I gained weight." It's freeing. It's freeing. It's one less thing that my brain has to lie to me about, worry about, stress about, tell me stories about. It's one less thing that I have to deal with, and I love it. I love it. I'm so glad I got rid of it. Yeah. Best
I
thing.
agree.
Right. And it
Yeah,
doesn't matter,
it
right? That
doesn't.
number doesn't matter.
Mm.
It doesn't define you as a person. It means absolutely nothing.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your relationship with food. How does that look today?
Today, I
Do you
love
eat like a quote unquote normal person?
yes. Yes, that's my
And I
big thing.
asked that question because that was one of the things that Chris wanted when she first started working with me. I just want to eat like a normal person.
That's right. I just wanna eat like a normal person. I eat. I love how I eat. Absolutely love how I eat. I love what I eat. I crave what I eat. It's crazy. I never thought that I would eat how I eat now, but
And
I
not
love
feel
how I eat.
deprived?
Huh?
And not feel deprived?
No, I don't feel deprived whatsoever.
But, like, if the version of you that existed 2 years ago saw you today and saw what you ate and how you lived, what do you think she would think about it?
I think she would be jealous of how I I think she'd be like, "I wish I could do that. I know I can't, but I wish I could." Because I think she would think, "Definitely not enough food, definitely not enough food." And really, I do eat a lot of food, but not in quantity because I overate so bad, so much. And the past me would just think, there's no way I can do that. It's just, I wish I could, but I can't type thing. Yeah. I'm not really sure, but
Yeah. Well,
well,
and one thing that we've been working on recently that I wanna share with the listeners
yeah.
is adding treats back into your diet.
Yes. Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
I have been doing it for several weeks now. And I think I've been doing really well with it, but I don't feel deprived whatsoever. I look forward to my food. I look forward to what I'm eating. I enjoy what I'm eating. It's not a diet, it's my life. This is who I am. I'm a person that eats healthy for my body to take care of her, and I'm a person that works out to take care of my body. That's just who I am now. That's just me. And I love I love how I do it. Yes.
Okay, so a couple more questions. So, what do you have now that you didn't have before that has nothing to do with your weight?
I definitely have more confidence. I'm you know, back when I would always people would invite me to things and I would always make excuses of not to go because I was so lack of confidence, embarrassed how I look. I didn't have clothes that I would be able to wear. So I would do nothing. I would stay at home. I wouldn't go anywhere. I wouldn't participate in things. Now I have the confidence to go out and do things and to enjoy activities with my friends and not to be where, well, one day I'm going to do that when I lose weight. One day I'm going to do that. Now I do it. I do whatever I want to do. I also love the fact that I can go in my closet and anything that's hanging in there will fit. I did a huge closet clean out, several of them through the last year or so. And every single thing that's in my closet, I can wear. And it's just amazing to be able to go in there and not have this huge ritual of trying on 20 million things and taking them off because they're too tight, where I could just pick whatever I want and I just put it on and I go. And that's just huge peace of mind. Huge.
Yeah. Not to mention that last year you bought your first bathing suit and pair of shorts.
Yes. Yes, I did. And I wore 'em.
in public.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The bathing suit was a tough one. I went to Colorado and the hot springs, and it took me 2 different times. We pulled up one time and I couldn't do it. We had to leave. And then I went back the next day and I did it. And it was a great feeling. And it was such a great experience to actually enjoy the hot springs where I would not have done that if I didn't get a little bit of bravery in me and do it. And the old me would not never have done it. The old me would have totally missed that great moment, that great memory. And it was just such a great moment and a great memory that I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I did it.
You are a completely different person than the one I met on our very first call. Like, just you smile more, you look people in the eye. You didn't do that before.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%. I feel so much better. And you know what it is I didn't like myself back then. So it was very hard to open up to people back then and to engage with people. And now I really, really like where I'm at. I really like myself and it makes me happy. Yeah.
So, one last question. If there's someone listening who has been thinking about getting support, who really identifies with the person that you were at the beginning of your story or even somewhere along the way, what would you say to her? What would
I
you
would
say
say
to the version of you who existed 2 years ago?
well, first, I would say I would tell her, "Thank you. Thank you for doing it. Thank you for being courageous and taking that step," because her taking that first step changed my life, and it was probably the scariest step she's ever had to do. Sometimes it's hard to admit that you need help and to actually reach out to somebody, but it was the best thing I have ever done in my life, ever. I am so, so thankful that I hit rock bottom to finally say enough's enough and to do something. My only regret is that I didn't do it sooner, that I didn't step up and do something sooner. That's my only regret. And I would tell people that it was worth every single penny to put into yourself. I probably spent more money on food before than, you know what I mean? Because you're like, I don't want to put any money into myself. I can do this myself. I don't want to put any money into myself. Well, when you think about how much money I spent on food, how much money I spent on having to keep buying bigger clothes, I probably am saving money now, to be honest, because and the money is so much more well worth putting into myself of what I'm doing. I would tell people, please, please stop and do something because there's so much more to life than just sitting at home and eating or just sitting at home and the negative talk to yourself about how you're not worthy and you're not worthy enough to put into the work into yourself. You are. And my life is so much more now. It's just I don't even know how to explain, but it is just so so much more enriched. I am so much more happy. I have joy in my life. I have purpose. I have goals and goals that I've achieved and more goals that I'm working towards. And I just love every morning when I get up how I feel. I mean, hands down the best thing I've ever done. Best thing ever, ever, ever that I have done. And you are not judgmental at all. You are very compassionate. Because I worried about that when I first started with you, because I hated myself so much that, okay, am I gonna go talk to somebody that's just gonna judge me or just going to and you are not like that whatsoever. You're very open, you're very understanding, and you had, and you still do, have my best interests at heart. You have been there through thick and thin, through my worst moments, through some of my best moments. Your support never stopped. It never stopped. And you believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. And that means a lot because that helped me to keep going because somebody finally in my life actually believed in me and that I could do something because I didn't believe I could do it at first. I had a lot of doubt, but yet you believed in me and it just made a world of difference. And if anybody's on the fence, I can't stress enough how just trust me on this one thing that your life will be so much better if you take the chance and invest in yourself. It really makes a huge difference. I mean, you changed my life, 100%.
Thank you. So it never ceases to make me incredibly grateful that people find me on the internet and they have enough trust in me to be able to trust me with their journey. And so I am incredibly grateful to you for trusting me in this entire process. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else you want to say to the woman who's listening right now?
Probably just to tell her that she's worth it. She's worth it. And I hope she stops and really thinks about it and thinks enough about herself that to know that she's totally worth it. She's worth every single thing that she can do and to do it. Just go for it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And thank you to Chris for being so open about her story. I know that it's not easy to go on a podcast and talk about hiding food in your bedroom and hating yourself at 3 a.m. That takes a lot of courage, and I don't take that lightly. Here's what I want you to take with you. Chris came to me wanting to lose weight. That is completely normal. That's how most of my clients find me. There is nothing wrong with wanting that. But what Chris will tell you, and what you just heard her say in her own words, is that somewhere along the way, the weight stopped being the point. What actually changed was how she felt about herself, how she talked to herself, how she showed up for herself when nobody else was watching. The weight came off because the other stuff got worked on, and that's not a coincidence. If you heard yourself in Chris's story, that is worth paying attention to. Not because there's something wrong with you, but because there's something very right about the fact that you were able to recognize it. Now, if you know someone who is in the place where Chris was, someone who keeps starting over and can't figure out why nothing sticks, share this episode with her, not as a hint, just as a, hey, I was thinking about you. And if you want to know where you specifically are getting stuck, I have a quiz that you can take to figure it out. Go to elizabethsherman.com/quiz. It's free. It takes a few minutes and it will show you what's actually in the way, not what you think is in the way. Now, on the next episode, you're going to hear the rest of Chris's story because there's a big part that we didn't get to today. In the middle of everything she just described, in the middle of losing weight and doing the inner work and learning to show up for herself, her body threw her a curveball. And what she has to say about that, as a warning, especially to women who have no idea this same thing could be happening to them right now, is something that I did not want to leave out. So tune in for that one. Chris has something to say that your doctor may never have brought up. And I think that you'll be glad that you heard it. That's all I have for you today. Have an amazing day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Hey, before you go, if you are someone who says, I know exactly what I should be doing, I just don't do it. Hey, if that's you, I made something for you. It's a free 3-minute quiz that gets underneath that exact problem. Not to give you more information, but to show you the specific reasons your follow-through keeps breaking down. Because it's not the same for everyone. And once you can see your pattern clearly, everything else seems to change. Head to elizabethsherman.com/quiz. It's free, it's fast, and it's honest.